All right, I think we are live. So, hey everyone, FusionEd coming at you today, and get excited because we're about to build a quick little sniper game. And yep, there's the sniper there, or sniper rifle, I should be saying. And yeah, okay, I do have a little bugs with the airplanes, but whatever. So yeah, basically, just gonna be building this. This asset's pretty much all free, and if you want to follow along, you can get all the assets we're gonna be using on our website at fusevr.com. And Abdo, who helped in building the sniper rifle that you see here, he should be in the chat. So if you have questions about 3D modeling or anything of that nature, feel free to hit him up. But let me just quickly show you kind of some of the stuff that's in here. Let me put my headphones on. The struggle is real sometimes with these headphones. So yeah, I added in these planes with a little AI. I'll show you how to do that. It's actually not too bad. Oh, we also have some fireworks that for 4th of July. Just thought I'd add that in. Again, also not terrible. And they're billboarded, so they actually don't look that great in VR, but I figured it was something really quick to add. And so yeah, I can, using the touchpad, I can zoom with the scope, and we get that directional input from the touchpad. So if I hit on the bottom of the touchpad, then it zooms out, and top of the touchpad zooms in. Also out of the crosshairs here, and yeah, I can zoom in really close and just aim at exactly where the center is and shoot the airplanes down. And again, also kind of derpy little explosion there, but I think you get the idea. And yeah, I think I like the sniper a lot because it's just so intuitive to use. I can I didn't add any like delay for reloading, even though I did throw in like a quick little reload sound clip. But I mean, you could add that in if we want, and if we have time, we can also try adding that in. And oh man, here we go. But yeah, I think you got the idea. The one that I did add. So yeah, I mean, I'll show you guys how I added the airplane AI. It's just if you watched our budget cuts live stream, we're using exactly the same code, and that code is in the starter project. So I'll show you how to use that. It's actually really easy. And yeah, let me dock this in here. And yeah, kind of simple, pretty straightforward. It may not even take 2 hours to get through it, but we'll see. And so just to get started, I'm gonna, as always, start up a new project here. Let me actually open up the chat. There we go. And actually, while I'm setting up this new project, I'm gonna ask, so I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask it anyways. What would you want to see first? How to actually do the airplane AI and just kind of get that set up, basically get the scene set up before we do the sniper rifle, or actually build the sniper rifle first? Post that in the chat. And yeah, don't save that. Actually, I probably should have saved it, but whatever. Let's close that and close that. Scene setup first, please. Cool. We can do that. So, brand new Unity project. I'm gonna go ahead and import in the assets we need. We can do that. Sounds like a plan. And so we want the Steam VR plugin. I'm on, just so that you guys know, I'm on Unity 5.3.4. Patch 1. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, 5.3.4 patch 1. Go ahead and import that. So we don't have SteamVR natively built in, so have to import the SteamVR plugin, which we will do. Go ahead. It has a bunch of settings it wants you to use. We're just going to go ahead and accept all of that. And then, so SteamVR plugin, and then the next one we want is, I spelled that wrong. Let's see if it finds it now. Skyscraper. Come on. Skyscraper. There we go. I'm going to just sort by price. There it is. So yeah, if you just search Skyscraper in the Unity Asset Store, you'll find it. It's a free one to use. Actually, it looks really good in VR. They use a custom shader, but and I think that just helps with the optimizations. Let's go ahead and import that. Background AI. Let's do it. And that just takes a little bit of time. Especially, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes the import takes a while, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I guess I should also mention if you're new to this, if it's your first time downloading it, this will actually be a download button, so you have to download the asset onto your computer before you can actually import it. And any day now. Oh, there we go. Cool. So now we have that. It actually, because I think because the project's a little old, it has an error with the image effects in standard assets. I'm actually just going to go ahead and delete all of the standard assets because we don't really need them. And I'm going to press Control D to copy the scene. I'm just going to move it out to the assets folder, and we'll rename this Sniper Scene. And now we can double click that, and boom, this is our scene. I'm just going to hit play just to kind of show you guys what exactly is in there already and what we'll need to modify. But it's actually like, if you just hit play, it's a basic, you control the airplane. Where is the scene? There it is. You control the airplane with your mouse. I think space is to fire. There it is. And yeah, there's Abdo. So if you have questions about the art asset specifically with the rifle, he can help answer those. And also, like, we're thinking of, oh man, I died. We're thinking of doing a 3D model tutorial next week, which Abdo will lead us like a video tutorial. If you have like questions about that or like specific things you'd want to see, hit him up in the chat also. And yeah, I should also mention, like, this chat is like a time for like not only to like talk with me and like learn, like, say how to make a sniper rifle game, but you can also chat with other people on the stream if you have like questions about specific projects you're working on and get answers in real time. I think that's a really cool part of the streams. So yeah, so we have our scene now. I'm going to go ahead. So the things we want to get rid of are this game control object. We don't need that. And that's basically controlling their game, which we don't want to use. We don't need their camera. We can get rid of that. Let's see, what else can I get rid of? We don't need this terrain. Yeah, okay. Now it's basically just a standard scene. So at this point, we can actually go ahead and go to prefabs, get this camera rig, and let's just plop it somewhere in the scene. I forget where I liked it. I think somewhere in this, I think here was good. Yeah, I think this was a good spot. I can't remember. I mean, pick any building. Some of them aren't flat, and I prefer a flat one. Just like it feels, I think, a little better, and you don't feel as like claustrophobic living on the edge. But I mean, if you want to do that, feel free to do that. And let's just quickly test to make sure that this is working. I don't need the sound. All right, so I see it in the headset. Turn the controllers on, make sure I see those as well. Yep. Oh, there we go. Yep, so we have controllers. We're on this building. Got some nice reflections from the moon. And I think there's a plane somewhere. I thought there was a plane somewhere, maybe not. But yeah, basics are working as far as we now have a basic scene in Unity. And yeah, all systems to go there. And so now, since we want to work on the AI first, let's go ahead. I forget where I know there's an airplane somewhere in this scene. Or I maybe deleted it. I think I deleted it already. But let's see. I know it came with the skyscraper prefabs. Yeah, there it is. That, yeah. So if you go to skyscrapes prefabs, there's 2 airplanes in there. Pick one of them. It doesn't really matter which one. And so we're going to be using that as basically our AI. And I'm going to just put that in the scene. Actually create my own prefabs folder out here just to be folder. Just to have our code separate from their code. You can go ahead and drag that airplane into here just so we have a reference on file. I'm going to actually go ahead now and move this up a lot into the sky. And so just like in the budget cuts live stream, we're going to be using Unity's nav mesh agent. And actually, one sec. Yeah, okay, cool. So what we're going to do actually is go to, this is a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a hack or not. I wouldn't say it's a hack. I think it's just a neat way of implementing this. We're going to create a terrain. Where's that terrain? There it is. So it's actually about the size of our map actually, and I'm zoomed out a lot here, which is why I'm moving around really slowly. So I'm just going to go ahead and move around here and then select the translation tab. Move this. Oops. I moved way too far. Let me refocus here. Select the translation tab. Place it approximately wherever we want the airplanes to fly around. And let's go ahead and zoom in to get the height right. So zoom in close to here now. And translation tool. And yeah, we'll just move this up. I'm going to move it up somewhat high so that we don't have too many buildings we have to deal with. But you can change the height of this depending on how detailed you want to get. But then once we have that, all I'm really going to do is I'm going to select this kind of faded brush here and just kind of sculpt up to cover the buildings that are above this. And basically what we're trying to do here is just create areas that the plane can like kind of fly over so that like it's not running into buildings and we don't really have to worry about that. Just kind of make this a little bit more smooth, and I'm gonna kind of quickly go through this, but just kind of give you a sense of what we're actually doing. And then we're just basically kind of building up the path that an airplane would fly around. Let's just move over to the other side here. Let's go to this one. Just kind of build up a mountain around it. Just make it a little more smooth on the, actually I don't like that height. On the sides here. Just a really convenient way to actually build up our pathing in a very visual way, which I like. Alright, cool. So let's do it on this building. Voting for what to build. That one for the bow. Wait, what are the options on the table? That looks about right. We can play around with a bunch of these settings. Like if we want these towers, I guess if you want to call it that, to be a little higher, we can set the height up a lot more. Or we could actually, we could change like the brush size. We can change opacity. I don't actually know what the opacity is like how much it fades out. Yeah, we have like a full control over like how we paint. And obviously this is kind of a bit coarse, but like if we wanted to smooth it out, we have that option. Just kind of around the edges, just kind of move the mouse a lot just to smooth everything out. Oops, I selected the paint tool by accident. But we can smooth that out here. We can also, I completely covered the other thing. Models from previous streams or new. Alright, you could build the airplane. That could be cool. Oh god, that was not what I wanted. Yeah, alright, so that's somewhat smooth. This other one isn't really isn't really on the terrain. We could actually like scale it up if we wanted. You can scale it up with the transform scale tool. There's also somewhere, oh, if you go to settings, not tree, where is it? Terrain width. You can make that a bit bigger there, and that's just kind of so that the scale is slightly different from, so scaling it up warps the resolution of the whole texture. If you actually change the terrain width and length and height here, then you can basically adjust, you basically make it more fine grained. So then when you go in with the paint tools, it's a lot more, you get a higher resolution when you try to raise and lower the heights. But overall, I think we've covered up pretty much all the towers that we wanted to. I mean, it's not perfect, but gives us a little bit of detail to play around with. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do now is just make sure that nothing is marked as static, and static's up here in the top right. And yeah, so the terrain is the only thing that's marked as static. So at this point, we can go to window, where is it? Navigation. Actually, I already had it open, but that's what you need to go to. And then let's just change the settings here a little bit. I'm just gonna max the step height up so that the plane can like pretty much easily go over things. Change the radius to, I think I wanted like 2.5. We can go with 3. Let's go with 3. And the height to 5. That looks reasonable. Now let's just change the step height to like 2. Or increase the step height to 3. Step height, this makes, you just kind of have to play around with these settings a little bit just to make sure that they actually, it doesn't have an error. Or less than 56.3. No, I want it to be bigger. 4 and then 6. Let's try that. 4, 5. There we go. Maybe make the height like 7. Yeah, for now. I mean, you'll obviously need to play around with those settings specifically to like make it look a bit more realistic, but for now, that's basically, that kind of just defines what our agent will look like on as it moves around our scene, basically. So let me just hit bake, and we can take a look at it. This actually does not look, though the one I did for the demo was actually a lot worse. This actually doesn't look too bad. I mean, we could like basically in these areas here that aren't blue, we'd kind of have to lower it down a little bit so that it actually goes for that max slope. But yeah, I mean, for now, as long as there's a way to get up to the top, I think we're fine so that it actually doesn't collide with the towers. And yeah, that pretty much does it there. I mean, unless you want me to edit it, and I'll leave that up to you guys, I'm just gonna say it's good enough. So with that out of the way, I can actually go ahead and now disable the terrain. And so now we don't actually see it in the scene, but our nav agent or our nav mesh is actually still there. So you see the blue data, you see the mountains that are covering over our towers. So we can actually now pretty much add our airplane to it. So let's go ahead, open up our airplane, and so we can get rid of a bunch of these scripts. So shooter, we don't need. Airplane, we don't need their audio sources. We'll actually go ahead and instead of using their box colliders, I'll just put a bigger box collider around the whole thing. So there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and edit collider here. Oops. Whoopsies. Let me focus in on it so I can actually see the whole mesh. Go ahead and just pull, oops, edit collider again, and grab that small little thing, pull that out here, pull that out there, Let's see, where's the dot that I want to pull for the back? There it is. That's not it. There it is. Scale that out to the back, and then scale this out to the front, like so. That looks reasonable. I'm gonna pull this out a little more. Make it a little easy. I mean, this basically will indicate like how easy it is for us to hit this airplane in the sky. And for now, just gonna kind of make it a little easy. Turn on the edit again, make this a little taller. That seems about right. Pretty much encompasses the whole thing. That's all we want. So, and I'm actually just gonna go ahead and make that a trigger right now. I'll explain that in a little bit, but just keep that in mind that we did that. And so yeah, so that's our airplane. And we can now go ahead, rigid body box glider. We can now add a nav mesh agent. So if we add that component to it, we get this cylinder looking thing in our airplane, and we can actually go ahead and change the radius size to be appropriate. I think I chose 5. Yeah, 5 looks appropriate enough. Yeah, that's good enough. We want it a little bigger than our box collider, just so that the box colliders don't intersect with other airplanes, because that will lead to problems. But other than that, like, I think that looks fine. The height, make it maybe 3, just to give us a nice buffer zone. That's the goal there. And yeah, I don't think we have to change the base offset. All of that looks fine. Awesome. So now in that starter assets package that we gave out, there should be a script called random agent. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that. Well, it's going to go into my prefabs folder, but I'm actually just going to move it to my assets folder. And of course, I moved the wrong thing. Let's go ahead, move that here, click random agent, move that to the assets folder. So this is basically pretty much exactly the same thing that we used for our budget cuts stream. It's pretty much the exact same code. I added one little tweak to it, which is just the offset, and I just kind of hard coded that in, but it's not a big deal. And so yeah, I'm just gonna open up the navigations window here so we can see our nav mesh, and then just click on this airplane, move it up on top of this, actually like pretty close to the nav mesh, just somewhere. That's below it. We want it above it. There we go. That's perfect. So that'll just like, once we actually start the game, it'll just clip onto this nav mesh. And yeah, I think at this point, I think the setting in, actually, let me open up the random agent script for you guys. Just quickly go over it in case, I mean, we don't need to build it from scratch since we made it on a previous live stream. But I mean, it's really simple. All we did was we get the nav mesh agent, which we added, which was that component that we added that was the cylinder. Then in update, we go ahead and we're just doing a bunch of checks. I kind of wish it was a lot easier than this, but we do a bunch of checks to make sure we've stopped. And if we are stopped, then we can just go to set up a new destination, and the nav mesh agent does that. And for this new position that we want to go to, I just kind of pick a random point in the scene, and I have this like derpy little offset in here to basically indicate where like the center of our circle on the nav mesh plane we want to go to. That's basically all I did there. You can change these numbers around. I should actually, you know what I should do is actually just, well, actually no, I don't want to do that, just because I'm gonna duplicate the airplane a bunch of times. But you can just set the numbers here to make it work for whatever you want, and then it just sets a new destination. So at this point, if I just hit play, it should start moving. And I think it's just moving. Is it moving? Or did I add, better question, did I add the random agent to it? I did not add the random agent to it. So you gotta actually drag and drop the script onto it. And now there it goes. So now it's just kind of traveling around on that plane. Where's the plane? And so, yeah, there we go. And so if we open up the navigation window, you can see where it's going. You'll see it's like a really slow right now. So actually, like in the demo scene that I set up, I set the speed to like about 10. I think that was about right. So that's a little better. You can make it faster or slower. When I was experimenting, like 10 felt about right, especially around me. If you go a little faster, it becomes really hard to shoot it down. So, yeah, a setting to play around with, that's for sure. And yeah, we can, if we just hit play again, yep, it just goes to a completely random different spot. And yeah, the starting point is just something to play around with, but that's, yeah, just something to keep in mind. So that does it for the airplane, and then literally all we have to do after that is press Control D, and that means duplicate. So we can duplicate our airplane. Let's go like 11 times, and then we just kind of move them around. That's pretty much it, just using the translation tool. Move something like that. Move you there. I'm just kind of arbitrarily picking starting points. I mean, in an actual game design type of setting, you would probably be a lot more careful with what you're doing. But just to get started and have something fun to play around with, like, this is fine. We've got a few more just to go through. So, yeah. So I guess like while I'm doing this, I'm just kind of curious if you're interested, like what for like just kind of future things. Like I think a lot, if you've watched some of my previous live streams, you probably know that I tend to pick stream topics that are from existing games. So like a bow and arrow or a sniper. That I think they're like, or like even budget cuts. They're like a bunch of like random small mechanics that aren't really that hard to replicate, and I just kind of want to show that to people so that they realize it's not that complicated. But I'm just kind of curious, what are your favorite VR games right now? Like I have a few, specifically Battledome, which for the break, planning to play that. So if you want to jump into the server, I'm totally down to talk with you guys during that 5 to 10 minute break. And I love Out of Ammo. If you've watched the channel, you probably know that. And let's see, Audio Shield is also pretty good. But yeah, let me know in the chat like what you actually, what games you really like. But yeah, there we go. We've duplicated our airplanes. They are moving really. Oh, right. I'm just gonna quickly select them all and just up their speed. Let's see here. There we go. Or even on mobile. That's something I wish I'd be playing around with more, is mobile VR, because I think mobile VR like just has a huge audience, and I just kind of wish I played some more mobile VR games. Or I guess, yeah, I guess I wish they were a lot more interactive than like Vive games. I guess that's more what I want. But yeah, there we go. We have our planes moving around relatively. I think 10 is a pretty good speed. Like, oh, Dolphin VR is actually really cool. Yeah, you're right. I want to play. I think Metroid came out. I want to play that. I think that would be really fun. And I also was playing Wind Waker. Although Wind Waker, I was playing it on my DK too. I need to try it on the Vive. I think that would be a lot better. I kind of got a little sick in Wind Waker, just because I guess they were artificially. I don't know why I got sick. I usually don't get sick that often, which is weird. But yeah, what are the good Dolphin VR games? Let me know. And so yeah, that's pretty much it to set up the AI. We'll get back to the airplanes once we actually implement the sniper, but for the most part, yeah, that's pretty much it. And so yeah, I guess moving on. I mean, if I can pause here for a little bit if you want, if you have any specific questions about what we did to like set up the airplanes, but I'm just right now just gonna go ahead and import in our sniper rifle. I wish I could play hover junkers. I really do wish I could play hover junkers. I think that honestly, like I'm running, in case you don't know, I'm running a 970M laptop for right now because it's super easy for me to actually move around as compared to a desktop. But the problem is hover junkers is kind of expensive on the GPU, but I've heard it's good. Subnautica. Oh, I haven't tried the Revive. I think that could be really interesting. I've seen Markiplier's videos on it, which look really, really fun, but sadly have not tried that. I might post a video on it in the future. I think that could be really fun. Let's see. Okay, so moving on, I want to actually, so now that we have the sniper in here, I'm gonna go ahead and take the sniper model and just kind of drag it. Actually, yeah, no, I'll drag it into the scene. So let me go ahead and drag that in the scene. And wait, someone has touch? Oh, no way. I really want to have touch. I've heard there are some good demos that you're not allowed to talk about, which I was like, dang, I really want that. But I think it was someone told me it was like you guys have bullet train, which sounds ridiculous, and you guys aren't allowed to share it, which I think is also kind of ridiculous. But yeah, so dragged our sniper into the scene. It's a little big, so I'm actually gonna go ahead and I think I chose a 0.25 scale. Yeah, I think it was a 0.25 scale. Yeah, that looks right. So just gonna shrink it to 0.25. And so if we actually open it up in the hierarchy, Abdo, when he made these, you basically have the body of the rifle, which you can see here. We have the front lens, which is what you're going to be looking through, and we have the back lens. I'm actually not going to be doing anything with the back lens, but if you want, that is something you can do. And then the next thing is basically setting up a way to actually look through the sniper rifle. So for that, what we're going to actually do is we're going to create, if we go to left click, create, where is it? Render texture. Let's go ahead and name this scope camera. That's a good name-ish. Naming is like sometimes really important, but like it's also kind of really hard to do. Yes, one of my friends sent me a link to email Oculus, and I was like, I haven't heard back from them, but I think it could be really fun. And so yeah, we have the scope camera, and so that's going to be our render texture. And so basically, I guess if I'm to explain render textures in a nutshell, is basically we are going to add a camera to our sniper. Let's see, there it is, our camera. So this is going to be separate from the Steam VR cameras. So it's not going to show up in the headset. Like it's not going to be one of the eyes that we see. But you'll see here, target texture. We just go ahead and drag our scope camera in. And basically anything this camera sees then goes into our render texture, and it's basically a texture we can use and put on any material now. So it's really great for mirrors, it's really great for just adding any sort of camera effect to scenes, aka like a sniper rifle. So one thing I'll point out is in Battledome, I'll show this when we jump into Battledome, but I think they do a really lousy job with their sniper rifle because you have basically two options, and I'm actually gonna turn on a light here, mess with the lighting here, just so we can see this a little better. So just to point out that setting, you can use scene lighting, or with this option here, if we click it, it'll only use the scene lighting. If we unclick it, it'll add like a unity light to the whole scene and make everything a little bright so we can see it. So it's really great for testing out in dark scenes. Sure, Unity needs Blender. Oh yeah, that's a good point. You do need Blender in order to put something in Unity. And then the reason we do that honestly is because we're basically just trying to save on time because exporting out FBXs is a little annoying. There's just a bunch of sweat settings that need to be tweaked, and probably Abdo can go over those but I think it's kind of custom and dependent on the model, so which kind of sucks. But I mean, yeah, again, something to ask Abdo as far as like what you want to see in a tutorial. And so yeah, moving to the camera, I just went ahead and actually put it at the end of our scope, or not our scope, at the end of our barrel. And so actually what the Battledome guys do is they actually put it up here on the scope. And I hate that because what that means is basically you look through the scope, but that's not actually where you're gonna shoot. And that so basically when you see those crosshairs, you're actually shooting, I don't know, like well, I guess it depends on the distance, but you're shooting a lot lower than that, and that drives me a little crazy. I wish they'd fix that, and maybe they will soon. But it's literally just the place where you put this camera, and that camera placement is pretty important. So I'm gonna be putting that at the end of our barrel because that's actually where we're gonna be shooting our bullet. So now that we have that here, which looks actually wait, that's way off. Wow, okay, that was way off. We want this. Oh no, wait, no. Oh, the widgets are killing me right now. This should be up here and to the left a little bit. Actually, let me just reset this. Okay. So we want to drag this about here and then move it up so that if we're looking at the barrel, it's pretty straight on. That looks good, and then we're just going to rotate this around 180 degrees. Move it back a little bit. So yeah, so it's looking straight out of the barrel now. And that, let's instead of call this camera, let's call this zoom camera because that's what we're going to be using it for. And I'll show zoom in a little bit actually. So now that we have the camera sitting at the end of the barrel, the other thing I'm going to want to do is actually I didn't want to click on zoom camera, but I just want to create an empty game object and call that the spawn point. Don't be afraid to use 2D viewport. Oh, good call. I actually this is why I'm not an artist, but you're totally right that I should be using the 2D viewport. Yeah, so yeah, there you go. I actually don't use it all that often, but I should be. But yeah, if you click 2D, really good, really efficient way to actually align things. But that's just something to point out. And yeah, you're absolutely right that I should be using that. Yeah, it's just bad habit. And I'm just gonna move this out. So yeah, for the zoom camera, I'm just gonna call this like negative 6.3 and then 0.6 on here. Yeah, and yeah, install Blender. I don't think it takes that long to install, question mark. I guess that depends on your internet. But yeah, like once you do, you should be able to drag and drop the sniper rifle in, and that should just work. So yeah, so we have a spawn point. I'm setting it off 0.6. So if you just want to follow the exact settings that I'm using 0.6 on the Y and negative 0.63 on the Z, and then same 0.6 on the Y, and then negative 6.6 on the Z. And the reason for that is for optimizations, you can, I don't recommend it, but cameras have clipping planes as far as like what they should draw, what's the closest object they should draw, and what's the furthest away I should be holding here. Closest object they should draw, farthest away object you should draw. And so that's defined here. It's set to 0.3 for the near clipping plane. We could actually pull that back if we wanted to, but like that's the reason why I'm using offsetting the spawn point 0.3 so that when we shoot the bullet, we actually see it. snap objects to objects. There is, I can't remember what it is though. That's like one of those things that I like should be doing, but I don't like. I generally end up like my workflow is generally like align it approximately, look at the transform, and then adjust the numbers. And just for reference, everything is in meters, or like 1 unit equals 1 meter in the real world, which is super important in VR, just so that you actually keep real scale. Um, so yeah, so that means our sniper is pretty much set up. And so we have our camera rig, and we have the controller right. And I'm just literally just gonna drag our sniper into our controller right. And I'm going to go ahead and click, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and click reset here, which and then just set the size again. And yeah, let me go ahead and try this out in the Vive. Our controllers are off. And so yeah, we're gonna have to turn this around because, so I left the controller model in here, if you can see that, just to get a sense of what forward is. I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this around 180 degrees, just so it's pointing away from me as opposed to trying to shoot myself, which, I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. But yeah, that's basically a sniper rifle right there. And so let's just go make sure, rotate at 180. And so now we have a sniper rifle in there. And so now what we have to do is actually, let's go ahead and, so before we take a break, just quickly add the scope functionality in here. And it's actually not that hard. So first thing I'm going to do is go to create material. Just call this scope view. And instead of a standard material, I'm going to go to unlit and texture. And then we're just going to take that render texture that we created for the zoom camera, and we're just going to go ahead and drag and drop that onto there. And the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to take the front lens, and so here it's set to an unnamed, which is just from default importing it in. We just kind of had a default material placed onto it. But we can now go ahead and take that material we just created and drag that onto our sniper scope. And now, so you might be wondering why we chose an unlit material as opposed to the standard material. And the reason is because, especially because we're in a dark environment, we don't want lighting to actually affect what we see, because otherwise our scope will appear really dark and it'll be really hard to actually aim with. So by making it unlit, we are avoiding all of the calculations with the lighting, and that just makes it look cleaner. And plus it's more efficient anyway, so that's a win. And so yeah, as you can see now, we have the scope in here. If I just hit play, just quickly take a look at it. We can, yep, you can see it, it's moving with us. One thing I will point out is, let me actually position the sniper rifle properly. That's actually something really important, and a lot of people don't take it for granted. So one thing right now is you want to be, when you're dealing with VR in general, you want to always make it really easy to use. And so by default, if you have a Vive, just play around with this. Jump into, say, Out of Ammo or Battledome or really any sniping game, or like actually any VR game, and just see how you like put the headset on and then hold your controllers. What is the default orientation that you hold the controllers? And what you'll notice is that it's actually it's not flat like this. You're holding it on your index finger right here at an angle. It's about 15-20 degrees. And so you want to keep that in mind when you're actually developing, because you want to use that 15-20 degree offset with the Vive controllers. this is why I need to get Oculus Touch, because I'm sure it's very different for them. But you want to use that offset there to basically turn this sniper to be facing parallel, because that is just going to make it so much easier to use your sniper rifle right now. Otherwise, I have to move my controller flat like this, and that's just extra strain on your whole arm that you want to avoid. So just by making that one tweak, it makes a world of a difference in how it feels. The other thing we're going to want to do is, right now you'll see the scope is kind of aligned with my head. So I have to basically hold my arm out here. And that's not very, I mean, it's straining on the arm if you're trying to have a player play for 30 minutes to an hour. So go ahead and we're just going to move this forward and then tilt it down so that everything aligns up. So that's actually really easy to do, but again, I wanted to point that out because it makes such a world of a difference in the way that you actually hold the sniper. So for the rotation, or actually, so yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead, drag this like forward about, I don't remember the number I used. I feel like, no, 0.5 seems like a lot. We'll try it out. We'll try 0.5. I know for the rotation, what I used was -15. So -15 tilts it downwards like so, but then when I'm holding it like this, it feels flat. So super important there. Let's try out -0.5. So yeah, that's a little far. So we'll move it back a little bit because now I kind of, yeah. So just move it like, I don't know, 0.3. 0.3 is probably going to be good. Yeah, this is good. And so yeah, now it's flat for my default orientation. And yep, I can see everything. I'm not, obviously, I pull the trigger, it's not going to do anything. But I mean, it just feels a lot more comfortable because our arm is like now at a resting position as opposed to like out here. And again, that just makes a world of a difference. And this is one of the reasons why I'm like, as much as like you experiment around with VR like while you're in Unity, you just also pay attention to the small details that other developers are doing, and it just, yeah, it makes a more world of difference. What if you ghost the moving model and use a separate rifle model to snap the proper alignment with a volume trigger? Well, what do you mean by moving model and separate rifle model? Yeah, I guess, well, what explicitly do you mean by moving model? So yeah, I think the only other thing we have to do is pretty much add a crosshair to this, and then as far as everything non-coding that we need to do to set this up, we're pretty much there. So let's just again go ahead. Okay, for this actually, I mean, you can find pretty much, I'll just Google it for you, but I actually already have this downloaded. But we can, if you just look for crosshair on Google, go to images, and it's like one of these, but just go to search tools, color, transparent. You can make this as well, but you can also just find good ones on the internet. So this one's just like a clip art piece that you could probably use for free, would be my guess. I don't actually know. But yeah, just make sure it's transparent on the back. It's not white, but I think by just searching for transparent, you'll find the right ones. And so yeah, download any of those. I have one already, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. The hand attached model would ghost out, switch materials to show the real alignment, and fade. So are you talking about for development or for the actual like in-game sniper? Snap model would take its place to have the perfect alignment for the eyes. This way the user could move their hands a little and it wouldn't mess up the sniper view. So like, I guess this is more specifically if you are trying to pick something up, right? like you would, so like a kind of like an out of ammo, like where you like you switch it, or like I mean if you're like dropping off, yeah, for the actual in game. Um, yeah. So yeah, I think out of ammo does this. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I mean that like if you're like swapping out guns, that's probably a good way of doing it if you kind of like know if you want to fade. I don't know if I don't know if I would do the fade though. I think I would probably just kind of switch it out immediately. I mean, it's something to play around with. I mean, I haven't explicitly seen like a fade working on it. It could work, but I'm not entirely sure if it would be the best way to do it. But yeah, I definitely. I mean, that's all things to experiment around with, and like I'll always say, it's like VR is just so new that like pretty much anything you want to try out now is the time to do it, and like experimentation is great. So that's something to do for sure. And so yeah, let me know if that answers your question. Um, or like shoot it to me again, or if it doesn't. But once we have the crosshair in, we can go ahead, make sure to set alpha is transparency, hit apply, and no, just keep asking. Like, I mean, someone else has an answer to that, like a better answer to it, like shoot it out. And like there's no real derailment because like it's not. I mean, this particular stream isn't even that long. Um, but yeah, so you can go ahead, add the crosshair, go to material, and let's call this crosshair matte. And just like with the render texture, we can go to unlit texture, just drag that in, and okay, wait, unlit, sorry, go not texture, go to unlit transparent, and come on, go to unlit transparent. And the reason for that is specifically because we're using transparency here. Question about that: are you just leaving this as render to texture, or do you do any kind of matrix projection to get correct head lens? I'm just gonna leave this as render to texture. I mean, it worked pretty well. I haven't experimented around with like actual like. I mean, what we used here is just literally a plane in the scope. If you had some sort of bulge and lens effects, you could add that on as like post-processing effects. Um, you do want to be a little careful because obviously that's extra compute power for VR. I mean, now you're rendering three, like we're basically rendering now three cameras as opposed to the two that we're already doing. It's not, I mean, it's not terrible, but like, especially if your scene is like looking like ours would be looking like on screen and not through the lens. And yeah, you're right. Like there definitely aren't any lens effects. I just also like kind of want to make this as simple as possible just to get just to show like it doesn't take that long. Do you have an example actually of a game that uses the lens effect? Because I'd love to actually see like how other people are working on that type of thing. Yeah, let me know. And so yeah, just gonna go ahead, click front lens. And this isn't what I'm doing right now is probably not the most efficient way to do it. All right, sorry, it isn't the most efficient way to do it, but it is the fastest way to do it. So all we're gonna do here is just add a second material and just go and apply the crosshair material to it. And so yeah, so that'll add overlay our crosshair on top of the scope. And so now if we actually look at it, come on, oh, did these turn off? There we go. So yeah, so now we look at it, and yeah, this doesn't feel, positioning's still a little off, but it's definitely a lot better than the start. And I just kind of wanted to point out that you should look at the positioning. And so yeah, I can look at it, and it's pretty. I mean, like you said, there's no lens effect, so it doesn't feel like I'm looking at a lens. It's more like I'm looking out at an object. But like with I think a little bit of zooming, it does add a lot of effect to it. And I think what is the time now? 10:55. So yeah, so it's about an hour in, so I'll take a break, and then after the break, I'll show you one, how to shoot a bullet from this thing using the trigger, two, how to zoom in with the touchpad, and at that point, yeah, it's just basically detecting when we hit the airplanes and then making an explosion. So, and then, like, the rest of this is basically just a little bit of coding. So that we can do. H3VR. Okay, I actually haven't played H3VR, so I will take a look at that because, yeah, I do know that they do stuff like that. They're trying to make the guns as realistic as possible, so that is a thing. But yeah, I'll show you what I mean now in Battledome. So if you want to join me, I'm actually just gonna jump into the co-op server, but feel free to join me if you want, if you have Battledome. And I mean, I'm not trying to. This is not like hashtag sponsored or anything like that. It's purely because I think I like. So like for me, I love the VR games that basically they put out a lot of updates and they really treat the early access period as early access. And I think Out of Ammo and Battledome are doing a great job. Like you consistently see patches of Battledome every like couple days, which I think is just really cool. I mean, obviously, like there's a lot of polish that needs to be made to this game, but I think just the fact that they're like keeping up to date with the community is really, really cool. All right, so let's see, there we go. And I'm gonna hit. Let me get just to actually no. Let me jump into a server first. Let's go to co-op mode. And I'm just going to hit start new match. Alright, there we go. So, here we go. Let's see, where's the sniper rifle? What's this one? No. Wait, is there no sniper on this one? Wait, why is there no sniper? That's interesting. Hold on. Okay, then let me show it to you out here, and then I'll jump into. Actually, I might jump into a real match if there's no sniper. Okay. So, yeah, let me jump into a real match. That's probably better. Or no, you know, I probably should here first. So, like, when this doesn't show it either. Yeah, go ahead. I have to jump into a real match. I also like that there's just a lot of people. I'm just gonna show it here real fast, and then I'll jump into like a random. But like, if I'm looking at like a specific tile on the ground, that dot is where I want to be aiming, but it fires below that, which I just find really frustrating. And like that, literally what happened here is instead of putting the camera, well, I'm trying to point with my left hand, instead of having the camera be right where that scope, or right where the barrel is, they have it where the scope is, and that is just frustrating. There's someone there. No, we went away. Hi, buddy. Hello. Wait, he killed him? Wait, what in the world? But yeah, one of the things I really like about this game is actually using swords, which is really like, it's the weakest weapon in the game, but like I think it's really fun. Hello. I died. Alright, let me leave here. Let's go. Let's jump into co-op mode. If anyone wants to join me, they can. Let's get this. I don't intend to get that far, but something, yeah. I'm surprised there's no sniper in here. Like, that is so weird. Wait, I can talk probably. Can I talk? Can you hear me? Is that a thing? Hello? Probably using the live headset, but how does the grips to talk? But wait, where's the waves? forgot I have to actually start game. Oh, I should probably reload. That's the thing. Nice. One thing about this game is I really wish that they would actually make this sword more useful. It kind of is in. Oh, we're breezing through this. There we go. Oh man. Ugh. Come on. Wait, what? What in the world? What is that? I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't realize there were spider monsters. Oops. I died. Oh wait, what? I can interact with things even when I'm dead? That's a thing. Can't shoot. Alright, hold on, let me rejoin. That's also like a very much a bug. Oh.
The battle will start in 3.
Alright, let's see how far we can get in this one. And then if I was actually good at aiming. Nice. Get wrecked. Get wrecked. Oh man, I have to reload. I'm wondering if that bug is going to show up. Where, like, all of a sudden you'll see a bunch of, like, these black orbs that, like, fly through the air. It's kind of weird. Oh, bugs. Hi, bugs. Where is everything? What? Oh, there it is. Nice. Oh, this is getting actually intense. Where's the sword? Where's the sword? No! It's like I wanted to reflect that, but that didn't happen. Ugh. That dodge though. Wait, why can't I switch to the sword? There we go. Nice. That respawn. Oh, we already lost? Wait, what? I was alive. Nonsense. Oh well. Alright. I think that's enough. Enough playing around. Kind of show what I wanted to show, which is it's a fun game, but definitely needs a little more polish, and the sniper doesn't make any sense at all. Playing textures with the blender. Some other. Alright, let's see. Let me go ahead and close out of this. But if that was you guys joining me into that was super cool. We didn't. I'm still not sure why we lost, but whatever. Or like we ended up not going that far. Not displaying textures with Blender installed. That's interesting. Oh, it might be the version of Blender. What I know, like sometimes it's honestly like the stupidest thing. Let's see, what version am I using here? Wait, how do I find the version? That's the better question. Release log? Oh, 2.77. There we go. That is the version I'm using. Really solid colors. Should display normally. Let's try the FBX. Oh, did you? Okay. If you have an FBX, you might want to try that. Nah. No, because I thought like the waves keep going until everyone's kicked out. But clearly that was not a thing. And I'm surprised the talking didn't work. That was kind of sad. I wish it did. Anyway. Still, I think Battledome was really fun. And Clearly, some of you agree. 2.76. Oh, try 2.77. I think I did run into issues when I was using 2.76. I don't know what the something changed, I think, between versions. So yeah, might want to try upgrading. But yeah, cool. Now you know. If you ever want to talk to the developers about Battledome, tell them that you know how to fix that bug, and they should fix it because it's actually kind of annoying. So yeah, cool. We have our sniper, we have the lens. Let's go ahead and actually shoot some bullets. So to do that, what we're going to do is actually create a C# script. Let's call it sniper. I should call it sniper, whatever. Open that up in Visual Studios. And actually, you know what I forgot to do is actually create a bullet. So let's do that. And we don't have a model for the bullet, but you can actually create one pretty easily. And bullets are something that people may or may not see the detail of, so because they're moving so fast. So you can actually get away with something really built into Unity, aka a capsule. And no, you do not want your capsule this big. That would be bad. So what we're gonna do is go ahead. I'm just gonna quickly parent. Let's call it bullet. Bullet, nullet, bullet. Wow, I keep hitting the B at the end instead of the B. Might be because I said N instead of the B. Let's go ahead, drag that in, reset it so the size is approximately right. Go ahead and move. I think we still want to make this a little smaller. I'm just going to position it. Wait. I'm just going to go ahead and position it like somewhere here, and then just to get the size right. Yeah, there we go. Just go under that. Like we already added the spawn point, so like this position really doesn't matter, but I want to just kind of put it there approximately just to get a good scale. 0.1 might be, yeah, 0.1 looks pretty good. And this is, so actually it's not, this is 0.1 times 0.25, so it's actually a lot smaller. But we'll actually see the right scale if I just drag this out here. So yeah, no, it's 0.025 now. So, but I think that is pretty reasonable as far as scale is concerned. We can go ahead and actually rotate that to be, what is that? That is 270. So yeah, we can do 270 and 0, 0. There we go. I think that looks reasonable. We can, if we want, we can change the color by just creating a material. Let's just call it bullet matte. And for this, you actually probably do want to use a standard material because we do want to take into effect the lighting. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll, this is, the art side of things, if you know, is not my expertise. So, maybe lighter. We'll just go lighter. Abdo, do you have a good recommendation for color of a bullet? Actually, no. Why am I using blue? I should be using like a gray. This is how bad I am at art. Let's go with that. I don't know. Abdo will tell me a good color. I meant basically this color, because of the way we offset things, it's just going to be the flash color that we see in front of the scope. So, like, yeah, just to keep in mind. But we have a bullet now, and we're just going to create a prefab from it. So actually, let's go ahead to our prefabs folder and drag that in there, and we can delete it from the scene. Yeah, I mean, guys, if you guys want a warm glow, easy to see. All right. What color though? A red? A reddish? A reddish? I don't know. Close enough. And so yeah, so now that we have the bullet actually created, we're just gonna, for our sniper script, let's go ahead and get a reference to it. Game object bullet prefab. Let's go there, get rid of the start, because we're not actually even going to use it. And then I'm going to go to Steam VR. I was like, what am I going to go to? And I'm like, oh, great. Steam VR, the test throw. Yeah. This is literally where I go ahead and copy their example on how to use the trigger. I do this every single time. And I mean, it's just a convenient way for me to not have to remember it. Maybe one day I'll actually remember remember what this is. But yeah, so it's gonna get a reference to a Steam VR tracked object tracked. No, let's call it what it is. It's gonna be the right controller, and if you are a lefty, you can use the left controller. That is cool. And I mean, it's like, yeah. I'm curious how many people that have Steam or like the Vive are lefties. I mean, it's obviously. It's like one of the things I like about Battledome is that they also accommodate people with right-left eye color blindness. I think this will come in the future, but I wish you could also like switch right and left hand, or like pretty much use any weapon in any hand. I think that would be really nice, but I think that'll come in time. And yeah, I mean, it's obviously like extra work to actually implement it, but I'm curious like how much of the population that actually affects. Dark brown? All right, we can go with a dark brown. Dark brown, dark brown. That is a horrible color. Where is dark brown? I guess this is like a kind of a dark brown. I just realized how hard brown is actually to pick on this thing. It's like brown is like kind of red, but not really. Uh, that's like a dark brown. I'm gonna go with that. And so yeah, so from that code we copied from test throw, we now have a way to use the trigger. And so basically, anytime the right trigger is controlled, like we want to shoot a bullet, and that's actually really easy to do. We just go, or the other thing we need is actually a reference to our spawn point. That's probably a good thing to have. So let's go with transform bullet spawn point. And if you're new to coding, I guess I should also mention, basically what these public variables do is on our script, when I go ahead and attach, like here, if I go ahead and attach this, all those public variables come out here, and we can just drag and drop whatever we want to put there. So it's just useful in that respect. And I really like that. I'm actually learning Unreal right now, and like their methodology for that is, it works. Don't get me wrong, it works. It's just it's a different way of thinking, that's for sure. So yeah, now all we have to do is, and I guess since I mentioned that, would you post in the chat if you'd be interested in seeing either Unreal streams once I get comfortable with that, or Unreal like video tutorials, if that's something you would be interested in. I think it's valuable to know both, just at least at a high level, because they're good. They make your life easier in some respects compared to others. That's for sure. Bullet prefab position is going to be bullet spawn point dot position, and we're just going to use bullet spawn point dot transform dot rotation. Yeah, that should work. And let's just go ahead, get a game object out as a reference for that we instantiate. Basically creates our game object. Instantiate as game object. I work with UDK 2013, so haven't got to Blueprint yet. I mean, yeah, I just literally just learned the basics of Blueprint a while back. I like understand like the event workflow of everything, but I still don't have any idea like how do you do an if, or like how do you do a for loop. That's something I need to look into. And once I get comfortable with that, like I might experiment with a tutorial of that kind on something really basic. But until then, you're just gonna have to bear with me on the Unity side of things. So yeah, so that creates our bullet. And so for our bullet, in order to actually give it a velocity of some kind, basically send it flying, we actually need to go back to our prefabs, go to the bullet, go to add a rigid body here. I'm going to take off the gravity, I'm going to take off the drag. I think that's all I want to do. I think that's all I want to do. Yeah, and then pretty much for this, all we have to do is go, get component, rigid body, dot velocity equals, can I remember it? I think it was bullet spawn point dot transform dot forward. Yeah, I think this is right. And so we can try this out. I'm just gonna give this a velocity of 10. The direction might be wrong, and that's because, yeah, that's simply because like we've actually rotated the sniper 180 degrees. So the forward I think is reversed, but we're gonna see that. So just gonna drag in the spawn point, drag in the prefab, drag in the reference to the controller. And that's super simple, and let's just try it out. I don't want my headphones, and I almost dropped the controller. Don't you want that? I mean, yeah, you can. For experimentation and like getting the settings right, I don't want the gravity set. But yes, at some point, like if for more realism, you want the gravity set, and we can add that later on. All right, make sure. Yep, that's going the right direction. Perfect. This is a little dark though. But yeah, we can change the rotation a little bit, but yeah, we have bullets spawning very slowly, but spawning. And yeah, we can change the rotation. It is taking our spawn point rotation. I think we have to rotate it like 90 no, 270? No, 90 yeah, let's just do 90 degrees to in the X, I think was what I did. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We can now shoot them faster, slower. Why does it have to be instantiate as game? Oh, so what instantiate actually returns, yeah, I wish Unity did a better job of this, but the reason I say as game object is because instantiate actually returns you an object class and not a game object class. So when I say as game object, it's, if you're familiar with like Java or C++, any typed language that, well, I mean even C# can do this, but any typed language that requires casting. So for example, if you want to take a float and create it to an int, you'll basically put the parentheses out in front and then say game object. As game object is just another syntax that lets you do the exact same thing. And it's strictly for typing so that C# and Unity know that, oh, this is a game object, and the left and right side both have the same type, we're good to go. And so as a game object does the same thing as a cast, and it's solely a sanity check for yourself as well as for the computer, is I guess the long answer to that. Yeah, cool. We can go ahead and insert this, and then times quaternion. Actually, no, I'll just rotate it out here. Go.transform.rotate, rotate 90f, 0f, 0f. I think that should be right. I hope it's right. Yep, that looks right. Sweet. So now we're shooting bullets. It's rotated right. We'll increase the speed to 1,000. And yeah, we're shooting bullets. That's pretty much all we have to do there. The next thing to do is the zoom, and that's also not terribly difficult. what we'll do is copy this. I'm going to paste that here. I'm going to go touch, press down. So I'll change this instead of trigger to touchpad. So the SteamVR application gives you two methods, set press down and set touch down. And the difference is this. So we have our touch controller here. On trigger, I think they're pretty much the same thing. But on the touchpad, you actually, because this is just like a touch screen, it can detect when you lightly touch it, but it can also detect when you press it down. So like if you like listen to this versus just me lightly tapping on it. And so that's basically the difference between touchdown and press down. It's like when I lightly touch on it, I'll get the touchdown event. When I press down on it, I'll get the press down event. Yeah. And so you want to use press down in cases where like I want to physically press down. You can use touchdown in the case where it's like I want it to be a touch or a press. So we're going to use press down because we explicitly want them to press down on the controller. That we don't want them to be able to just actually just touch it lightly. Just I find that just a bit, as a user you have a bit more control, but that is also just a preference. And so I guess now is probably a good time to show this. So if I go into the editor, and this is basically to show how you zoom. Well, there are a couple ways you could implement this. The way I think that's probably the easiest is using the field of view. So field of view basically indicates, let me see if I can explain this right. Field of view is the parameter on the camera that indicates what your vertical field of view is. And then it calculates your horizontal field of view based on the screen space provided to it, or in this case for a render texture, it's like the width of that render texture. And since we're using a square render texture, it's just going to, the vertical and horizontal field of view should be the same. And so for that, basically, when we say our vertical field of view is 60, and our horizontal field of view is 60. So we can control if we control our field of view, we can make it really narrow or really wide. So we're basically going to make it, we go through a certain range. And so if I drag this down to like 1, actually 1 might be too small, but yeah, no, you can see it. So I mean, if you look at the game view now, I'm shaking a lot because like 1 is really small, so you actually see a lot of the shake in the controller. But yeah, I mean, it's like super zoomed in, and I can actually, yeah, there you go. You can see it's super zoomed in. I can also like zoom it out to like, I mean, if I wanted, I could go all the way to 179. If you look at the camera preview, you'll actually see like what it's supposed to look like. And so I think it's just probably the easiest way to actually capture what's going on in the scene, or like to create that zoom effect. The other way that I could think of is you actually physically move the camera forward and backwards. You obviously have to move it forward and backwards a lot, but it's just like another option. So that's pretty much all we're going to use to actually control the zoom. And so the first thing we have to do is actually get the code that actually tells you, did I press on the top or did I press on the bottom? And for that, or is it, where did I have that code? I found this on Stack Overflow. Like, I've said this before, I don't think SteamVR is like the most documented thing in the world. But I'm just going to copy that, and then I'll show you what the code is. But it's basically SteamVR input, sort of write device, let's just call this write controller. Oh no, wait, no, we already did this. This is just literally going to be device.getAccess. That's the method we have to use. And then it's this derpy little variable. You can't use SteamVR controller button mouse touchpad. You have to use eButton access 0. Why? Why? I don't know why. But that'll get you the access. We're explicitly interested. It comes out as a vector too. So on the controller, the y direction is 1 here, -1 on the bottom, and I forget. I think this is 1, -1. I could have that flipped because I didn't use the x-axis, but just so you know. And we're only explicitly interested in the y. So I'm just gonna change this to float touch y. And so that, yeah, so that just tells us where here we touched. And once we have that, so another thing we need to add is just a reference to our camera so that we can actually change the field of view. So public camera, scope camera. Scope camera, we're going to go ahead, do that, fov equals, or we'll just do plus equals touch y. And so that's like literally the basic thing that we need to do in order to get it working. This has bugs, so basically, because the scope, sorry, we shouldn't be using field of view, that's deprecated. It's our faux. We should be using field of view, but I think either one works as of this build. And so yeah, field of view plus equals touch y, that pretty much does it. So if, actually wait, is it minus? So if we press this, it'll add, yeah, sorry, it should be minus equals. The reason for that, it's basically if we hit here, we want to be zooming in, hit on the bottom, we want to zoom out. Zooming in is actually shrinking the field of view, and zooming out is making the field of view larger. So we just have to flip the sign there, is the reason for that. And then, so scope camera dot field of view minus equals touch y. That'll do it. We want to add in some sanity checks for, since field of view doesn't do any of this. So if you drop below 0, the field of view gets wonky. If you go above 90, maybe a little more, it gets the field of view gets wonky, and you don't really see what's going on. So just add in a max and min. Not terribly complicated either, but we can do this. It's going to be public const float minfo equals, I'm going to go with 10f. We can change this to be whatever we want. Just do what makes it comfortable for you. And like this is, again, part of the experimentation of like for your game, what makes the most sense. So now instead of this, I'm actually going to go and say, create a new variable called fov equals scope camera field of view minus touch y. And then we're going to say if fov is less than minfov, then we're going to say scope camera dot field of view equals minfov. Else if fov is greater than max fov, scope camera dot field of view equals max fov. Else scope camera dot field of view equals fov. So basically just adding in a quick condition to check if we're less than whatever we've defined as the min field of view, we're just going to just cap it at that min field of view. If we're greater than it, cap it at the max, and then otherwise just set the field of view. And yeah, that pretty much does it here. We can obviously scale the touch y by however much we want. So if we wanted to go really fast, we could do that. If we want to go kind of slow, we could scale that. And that's just literally a value here. I'll just do 1f just to show that you can do that, but like that's basically the gist of that. And so assuming, there's a big assumption, I did it right. All right, controller on. There we go. Oh, the classic forgetting to assign the camera. So let's make sure that's set up. I've noticed this here. Where is the extra camera? there is, why is there, oh, for the zoom camera. Okay, so in the console, in case you didn't notice this, it's complaining that there are two audio listeners. So that's because the camera that we added by default gets an audio listener. We don't want that, so we're just gonna get rid of it. So get rid of the GUI layer because we don't need that either. All right, so now I think this is moving really slow. Is it moving slow or complaining? I think it's moving just really slowly. Let's just speed it up. I think like by 10 up. Or actually no, we can. Yeah. So if I press this. Oh, okay. That's what's happening. So actually, so here's something to point out. I used pressed down instead of pressed, and so now if you actually look at the field of view, point at the monitor, and then realize you can't actually see the monitor. If I point at if I keep pressing, that is slowly incrementing the field of view in the direction that I want. But we want, I'm just for a quick effect, you actually just want to use get pressed. Get pressed. So with that, now it should just automatically, yeah, it just automatically does it up till 10, up to 90. Just up and down, and then if we want to see that clearly here, yeah, there we go. There we go. Nice and easy. This is actually, yeah, I think I made it a bit faster in the demo, but again, set the scale to how much you feel is important in your game. And yeah, I can now, am I shooting? Is that a thing? Oh, I shouldn't be using 1,000. That's what I shouldn't be using. I think I want this a lot slower. More like 500 so I actually see it. Where are the bullets? Oh yeah, okay, I see them. They're zipping by. I'm gonna make this again a little slower, just so I want to actually be able to see the bullets fly by. Yeah, there we go. I can see them now. Yeah, 250 I think is pretty good. And I think I rotated it into, yeah, I think I set it back, so I can change the spawn point to be a little further out, just so we actually see the flash. Let's go with like -7. I think that's probably, why is the bullet not showing up in the scope? That's interesting. I set this to -0.63. -7 is the spawn point. Let me make it nice and slow so I can actually see if it's showing up in the scope, because I just so that you actually see a flash in this. Wait, that's interesting that the camera is not capturing it. That's weird. Yeah, okay, that's strange. Well, I'm not too worried about that. That's like a small detail. I don't. Odd. Yeah, okay. I'm not too worried about. It's kind of weird that the bullet isn't showing up, but I'm not terribly worried about that for now. But yeah, I mean, the basics of it is kind of set up. We can add in the sound effects. I'll leave that up to you guys. Like, what do you guys want to see? Do you want to see shooting down the planes, or do you want to see adding sound effects? We have like, I'm down to stick around for like 30 minutes and add that, but like we have the gist of it pretty much set up now. Like our sniper rifle is attached to this. We can zoom in, zoom out. And at this point, it's really just like adding in cool effects to actually see what this, like making it into like a full-fledged game. So yeah, I mean, If you guys for July 4th want to see how to add fireworks, we can do that. I'll leave that up to the stream. Planes? All right. If we wanna, so we can shoot down planes. That's not terribly hard. Why does that keep going up there? I want it to be aligned with all the other planes. So at that point, put the collisions and score in. I mean, I can add a score. It's an arbitrary score. Like that's score is like it's like one of those things you would think is easy to do, but like I feel like as a game designer, there's actually a lot involved with it. But yeah, let's shoot down the planes. Let's do that. Let me go ahead and create a C# script for this. Just call it the airplane. And sure, reload it. That's fine. I should have whatever. I should have capitalized it, but whatever. So yeah, so what we can do here is we're just going to create on trigger enter. So this is just a method that's going to be called anytime the plane collides with anything. And that's really convenient for us because we just want to know when the bullet collides with the plane. And to test that it works, I'm going to add in debug log error here and just say got here. And just select all our planes, add this in. Fortunately, we already have, so this is why we actually, why did I not, oh, there we go. Added the airplane in, we're good there. So this is actually why we needed the is trigger. So basically, if you want that on trigger enter event to be called, you need to make sure is trigger is active on our collider. The other thing you need to do is make sure there's a rigid body attached. And actually for this, I'm going to change the collision detection to continuous, just so that if our bullets are moving really fast, then we're not going to be able to collide with them. So putting in the continuous there basically ensures that, or makes it the calculations like really look for like when things collide through that. Box versus edge modeling, maybe create the same basic shape with both to get the feel for how open the process can be. Box on the, sorry, oh, what do you mean? What do you mean, I guess, by edge modeling on the plane, like, or for like the for the collisions? Um, yeah. Um, oh, not for me. Got it. No worries. That's cool. That's cool. This is just I just gotta keep looking at the chat. That's all. That's not a problem at all. I want it to be used for that, so don't feel bad for that. But yeah, okay, cool. So we have the airplane in. Let's see if we're actually hitting him. Okay, where are the airplanes? I set them high. That was a mistake. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in here. Oh, there are the bullets. This was just a little dark. And I am, okay, these things are way too slow. I want them faster now. Let's see, where's that script? Yeah, sure. I don't know why Visual Studios always keeps asking me to, let's go with 250. 250 should be fast enough to actually hit them. I'm shooting, let's see, did I get, yep, I got some got here, so cool. I got a lot of got here, so I actually did hit it well. Cool, so that basically means that it collided. Assume new to this, so I'm taking up to see, okay, cool. So at that point, yeah, let's now literally just, if we hit it, actually no, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and import in, so the thing I used at the beginning was FX Explosion Pack. It's free for Unity, so you can go ahead and grab that. And I'm just gonna say open in Unity, launch application. So it just opens it up in the asset store here. And we just hit import. So let's go ahead, import that in. Wait, did it import already? Hello? No, it didn't import in. Where's the... Come on. Let me import you. I wouldn't imagine it takes this. Interesting. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I want... Oh. Oh, because I'm in play mode. Duh. That would explain it. So yeah, I guess you have to be outside of play mode to import, and then we're import. Let's just import that in. Yep. I totally forgot that I was in play mode still. Sometimes the fails are real. Um, so it's just going to ask us to update the API. For this specific thing, it doesn't really do anything terrible. So it'll just update whatever scripts it uses. That's fine. I don't know, when was this made? Or like, what was it made for? I don't even know. August 2015. Yeah, it's an old version. I think that's still Unity 5, so not a big deal. Once we have that in, we can go to FX explosions. The explosion I used earlier on was explosion 10. And yeah, we can just go ahead for the streaming to notice. You saw my text like almost instantly. Maybe I should stream on YouTube. Oh yeah. Uh yeah, I mean YouTube like they try to buffer and like make it super instant. So like I see most of the stuff right away, which I really like. I'm gonna go ahead change the start size. What did I use? I think I used 50. I think so. I mean, I have to say though, I do like that Twitch saves the chat log after you make the video. I think that's like a really nice feature that I wish YouTube did, and which is like kind of made me contemplate at times like dual streaming to Twitch. So I think I might do that in the future, but for now, like this is probably the easiest way for me to set things up. So this is why I'm doing YouTube first. Um, but yeah, so just set the start size to 50. For the airplanes, yeah, just reload, whatever. Go to the airplane script. Stupid line endings. We're gonna go ahead, do public game object explosion. And the reason I really like this asset also is it deletes itself after the explosion which is I think really cool. We're just gonna go ahead and instantiate an explosion. And we're going to do transform.position quaternion.identity. I mean, we could do the rotation of the plane, but not really required. And then just go ahead, destroy this game object, which is the plane. So that's basically all we did there. And we just have to, for each and every airplane, move it here. For each and every airplane, just select them all. And we have the explosion here. So drag and drop that over. And yeah, that should do it in theory. I'll always say in theory until I test it. Like, go ahead, zoom in. Where's that plane? There we go. It's a little. It starts a little low, so we can actually move the transform up a little bit. There we go. There we go. And yeah, I kind of wish I saw the bullet in here. I don't know why I don't see it. I think it's just because it's dark. Yeah, that's what it looks like. But yeah, I think I'll make it up. I'm gonna make the bullet brighter. I think I'll make the bullet brighter and a little bigger. That is gonna be a thing. Achieve high value target areas by overlapping trigger volumes. Cool. So capsule collider. Let's go ahead and make this. I don't know. 0.05 might be good. And instead of that darkness that I can't see, I'm gonna go. What I could do is actually change the emission value. Nah, it's not emitting light. That doesn't make any sense. Let's just try. Let's just try a white. Let's see if I actually see a white light. Still nothing. Oh wait, what? Wait, I totally, what in the world? Let's make this, okay. Just to like be crazy. Okay, so I definitely see it here. I don't know why I don't see it in the scope though. That's just like, that's. Oh, like that's, okay, that's actually definitely overlapping with, now that I look at it, it's like definitely in range of, like inside the clipping planes of the camera. That would explain that. We can fix that pretty easily. Rifle, no, not spawn point. And let's set, so this is -6.3. We're going to set this. I'm just going to set this to -8. So it's like, and let me double check. I'm using, yeah, I'm using spawn point. I think let's try that. There we go. Now I actually see the bullet. There we go. Yeah, it was just, the problem is it wasn't within the clipping planes. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Get wrecked. There we go. And yeah, if I remember correctly, this is just me winging it right now. Vector 3 temp equals transformed opposition. Temp dot y plus equals, I think I said 10f, and then we'll just put temp in here. So all I'm doing here is just like aligning that explosion with where that airplane actually is. Emissive kind of needs to be baked, not really. Like, in order for it to actually create light around it, it needs to be baked, and like affect other objects, it needs to be baked, but otherwise it doesn't. Like it'll still look like a glowing object otherwise. It just won't affect anything. But yeah, there we go. I now can wreck and line everything up. Oh, that was horrible. Come on, hit it. There we go. And yeah, I mean, like overall, this feels like pretty good. Oh my god. No. I'm like trying to like aim in front of it, but I keep failing. Oh, I suck. Nah. Why can't I hit you, airplane? Come back. There we go. I'm also a bad sniper. That's a thing. But yeah, we can snipe. It's coming out where it's supposed to. We can add sound effects. That's another thing. That's also, again, really easy to do. What else? What else would be fun? Like I don't, like this is like one of the things like if you just like look at a sniping game in general, like what? Like I think the nest is probably a good example. Like what makes the nest, or like here's a question for you, like what makes a sniping game exciting? Or like what makes a going to a gun range exciting? Like that's an interesting question. Call this the buildings to fall. I could not do that, or at least not easily, because these are like static meshes. You would have to like break the meshes apart. Which actually wouldn't be that hard in Unreal because they have the destruction mesh, but in Unity it's a little pain. Oh, to render targets if there's time left. Saw this on Reddit. How would you do something like this? Let's pull it up because I probably missed this. Sometimes like there are just times where, wait, why did that? Oh, nice. Have fun with mode to enter. Oh, this thing. Yeah, I did see this. What did he explain how he did it? It's basically what you do. So, what? I might make a tutorial on this because this isn't terribly, well, it kind of is, but like, oh, did he do? Wait, did he do render textures or did he have layers? He had layers. Okay, he had render textures and layers. That's what he did. So basically, what you can do is I'll show you how to do this like really simply with the bullets, but the same logic I think applies to what he did, which is basically what he did was he had that empty scene and he had a full like the luscious green scene. They're stacked one on top of the other. And so if you go to where's that? Let me just pick up the camera. There's this property called culling mask. So culling mask, what that does is it basically tells you which layers you want to render. And so what he did is basically, if you have a bullet, or if you have these two scenes, you put them on separate layers. You have your VR camera, and then you have that wall with the plane there. And basically, what you have to do is when you're in, say, the flat scene. Oh, it's not a flat scene. It's like the empty scene, basically. You turn off on the VR camera, you turn off the layer for the green scene. And then once you go through, you basically turn on the layer for the green scene, turn off the layer for the normal scene. And then you do vice versa on the render texture. So like when I'm in the empty scene, I turn on the layer to see the green scene. And when I go through, I switch that out. So he's basically doing a switch back and forth. I believe he also explained that, actually, let me see if we can see it here. One thing he did, if I remember correctly, is he actually, let's see if we can see it when he walks through. He like moves the plane back, I think, when you enter the world, like until you actually enter it. If I understood it correctly, I'd have to pull up the Reddit thread again if you have a link to that where he explains it. But like I think he did something like that to actually make it a bit more realistic, as far as like it didn't like you don't like see it like an instant transition of some kind. And yeah, I think he could also pick that up. But yeah, I don't know if he made a tutorial on how to do this, but that could be something for the future if people want to see that. I think it's like a really neat technique. And I'm sure like if you're coming from Reddit, like you probably also saw the non-Euclidean VR space. Yeah, I think, yep, there we go. I'm loving the hacks to get through YouTube's link conversion. Because I mean, unfortunately, I can't turn that off or on. But let's see. I don't know. I don't know if I can sort through all the comments, but I think at some point he did comment how he did it. Wait, was this a non-Euclidean one? No, this is the Twitter one. Yeah, I think somewhere he commented how he could do it, but I don't see it here. Yeah. GIF. Oops. Yeah, this one. I went to the SVVR meetup this past weekend and I was showing this to a bunch of people. It's like I don't know how to like describe this in good words though. Like I like started by saying like this is non-Euclidean traveling in VR, and I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense if I'm trying to explain this. Like, how do I actually explain this without showing the image? Because like I think this GIF does a really good job of showing it off. But yeah, I think it's a really cool. That is making the building collapse. Shatter toolkit. I don't think I've used the shatter toolkit. It's also $60. That explains why I haven't used it before. This is just me. I always like doing things for free. That's and if it's not free, then I'll like invest time to actually implement it. But yeah. Uh, but yes, if you want to actually just deconstruct an object, I mean, mean, at the end of the day, what this is doing is basically taking your mesh and then subdividing it a bunch of times, which you can write code to do. Like that's something doable. But if you are on a tight budget or not tight budget, tight timeline, then this might be something to invest in. Or I mean, and this is why I also like the idea of learning Unreal is because that's built into the engine. Like something like this is like I think a few button clicks in Unreal. Not that I've experimented with it, but like that's just a thing. So like I think it's just valuable sometimes to like, while yes, it's like good to get like there are things to be said about getting good at a specific engine and then like mastering it and being able to fully create an immersive world. I think there's also something to be said about using the tools that are right for the job and doing that efficiently. So yeah, I'm doing my best to actually learn it as fast as I can because I know there are definitely people who want to see that as well. So in time, or unless someone knows how to do Unreal tutorials, and then we can we can start following that because I think that would be really cool too. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, like just keep firing away questions. I'm down to be around for a little bit. If there's nothing like super critical, we can also end early. But like, yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it to create a sniper game. And like, yeah, I mean, I think the scene looks really nice. I should turn off this light. But like, I think the scene looks really nice. I think you can add in a high score. You can add in, if you want, you can add in a reload mechanism. Our specific rifle that we added doesn't really support that. But like, if you built your own rifle and maybe Abdo, this might be something that you could consider doing for the tutorial is like how you'd actually do that. Um, but other than that, like yeah, it's not complicated, and I think that's the beauty of it. It's like we how much code did we write? That's the real question. I always like looking at this. It's let's go with 40 lines of code there, and then like a derpy 2 lines of code there. Like nothing ecstatic. But yeah, you can totally use this for like pretty much sniping game. Out of ammo does like this like super cool tower defense type of thing, which I really like. Uh, a lot of there are a lot of cool things you can do with snipers and FPS, which I think is cool. I don't want VR to be like limited to FPSs, but like it's still I think it's like the easiest thing to do, and it gives you a good concept. Actually, like when I was talking with Abdo earlier this week, and we're like talking about first-person shooters, we like talked about the concept of basically like in a 2D video game, you go through this like modes transition of like, oh, I'm like walking around, and then I now put the totally blank crosshair on top of the screen for actually firing. But like in VR, it's like no, it's just like one mode. I walk around and also have the rifle around, which I think is just really unique to VR, and that's super cool. And let's see. But yeah, it's about 2 hours now. Pretty much done with the stream. I want to see any other really big questions. So if you do have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. You again, if you want to follow along if you have here's the other thing. If you have suggestions, feel free to post them on fusedvr.com on our forums page. That's just like a really easy way for me to actually funnel through and have like a list of a bunch of things to actually go over, and like an easy way to like kind of congregate them as opposed to like being in a bunch of different comments on a bunch of different videos, which I mean I look through everything, so like that's fine, but like just for I guess other people to see, I think it's super useful. And yeah, but hopefully this was helpful and gets you excited to like continuing further with this or like actually make that into a cool game, because I think this is just the basics and then you can grow from there, and I think that's really cool. But yeah, if feel free like if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure to like the video or subscribe. Like that just kind of lets me know if this was useful for a bunch of people, and like whether I should be using this or doing something else. And yeah, you can also follow us on social media if you want to actually see like some of the other stuff that, or like other posts that I put up on, like good tutorials that I think are interesting to follow, or other stuff like that. But yeah, I'll stick around in the chat for about like 10 or so minutes, like if anything else comes up, but just gonna go ahead and close the stream now. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me. It's been FuseMan. I'm signing out. See you guys later.